Why is this event important to you?
Well, when I first was made aware of the programs that the foundation really put money into and raised money for, there are about almost 13 postpartum depression entities that they have contributed to, and they explained what their mission was just throughout the idea of mental health and covering it from different ways and different angles and talking to people in a different way to sort of highlight what we can do and create this dialogue. And so that, to me, when they explained all of that to me, I thought, okay, this is something that is very important to me, because that was one of the biggest problems that I really encountered, was the lack of information out there and the lack of attention being put in the right areas.
Tell me just briefly, I know you've talked about it forever, but what briefly about your personal experience that brought you to wanting to speak publicly?
It happened, my desire, I think, was born out of the need to get help, the need to really bring to light this condition that so many people are affected by, but people are so ashamed of. And untreated or not acknowledged can become the stories we hear about, the very horrible, tragic stories that we hear about. And I couldn't believe that I had been so devastated by it, and I was made to feel horrible about being weak and not being able to just get over it, and it's not really a real thing, and oh, it's just the baby blues, or oh, you're just tired, but there was a real physiological change just a change in my biology that affected my brain chemistry to such an extent that I was considering and trying to find ways to escape my life. And when I started talking to people and I realized that there was such shame surrounding it, I thought someone had to step forward and just take responsibility for cracking it open, at least to see if we could get some light in there and see if we can get a dialogue going.
And you mentioned the stigma. That is not just with postpartum, but it's with so many different kinds of mental illness. How do you think, as a community, we need to deal with this, to eradicate it? Because again, there's people that say, well, it's not real, or buck up,
I have to admit, it's so pervasive and so insipid, because to this day, I cringe a little. And when I admit, again, I use words like admit, or I cringe, or I have to force myself to say, yeah, I take medication, because we're taught that it's something you should be ashamed of. And we're taught that you should be able to power through it. The stigma is so bad, but it's pervasive. And it is so terrifying, because not just the person suffering is not the only person suffering. There's this ripple effect. And I've not met any person that has not experienced it, loved someone who experienced it, lost a friend, to whatever form. There's a myriad of forms of mental illness. And we don't look at it the way we approach physical illnesses. We sort of somehow downplay the mental aspect to it, and it's devastating. But we need to shift just the way we talk about it. I used to say, if you have diabetes, I would tell you to take insulin. If you had there are medications designed and programs designed to help people get through, to find the right recipe for them, whether it's a combination of different types of therapies. And I just wanted to also not be so alone, because what I was getting met with was, it's nothing. And so I then was forced to suffer silently, which is what a majority of people do. And that's where the real sort of the tragedy comes from. I ended up being really lucky that I had a family that was aware and cognizant and stayed on me, and I found the right doctors. But as a mother, I mean, my aunt lost her son just this summer, and she had done everything, and it's an epidemic, and I think that this foundation is doing a tremendous job in helping. Tangible, and things are being implemented, and you're seeing the result.